The Declaration of Independence is written. So 5 men in the Second Continental Congress were asked to work together on the Declaration of Independence. They were Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert Livingston. Thomas Jefferson did the actual writing of the document. After the writing of the Declaration of Independence was finished, the members of Congress discussed it, and they made a few word changes. On July 2nd, 1776, the colonies voted it in, and on July 4th, the day which we know as the Independence Day, or the 4th of July, the Declaration was signed by John Hancock, the President of the Continental Congress. As Hancock wrote his name in large clear letters, he said, "There, John Bull can read that without spectacles, and now may double his reward of 500 pounds for my head." He knew what great danger he had put himself in by signing the Declaration of Independence. The English would know who he was and might want to hunt him down for signing his name on this document. Hancock turned to the other members of Congress and said, "Gentlemen, we must all hang together." "Yes," replied Benjamin Franklin, "or we shall all hang separately." An order was given to make copies of the Declaration. Immediately it was taken to the printing press, and copies were made to take to each colony. July 8th, the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia was rung to call the people of the town together. On the bell were written these words, "Proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all inhabitants thereof." This is exactly why the bell rang. When the people of Philadelphia gathered, the Declaration of Independence was read to them. It was the first time they heard these wonderful words. "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men were created equal. They were endowed by their Creator the certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." The Declaration went on to state clearly and simply exactly why the Revolutionary War was being fought. To secure these rights, governments are institutes among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Wherever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute a new government. The history of the present King of Great Britain in history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of the absolute tyranny over the states. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States, do and name by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. And for the support of the Declaration, with firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor. Wow. Of course, there were no televisions or TVs or airplanes to speed these news, but riders packed up copies of the Declaration in their saddlebags and jumped on their horses. Over dusty roads, through shallow streams, and over creaking bridges, they rode as fast as possible to carry the good news. Even so, it took as long as 2 months for people in some settlements to hear the news. So our country's first 4th of July was celebrated on many different days on each town when they heard the news. People cheered, they rang church bells, they fired their guns and cannons to salute the new United States. Why were the people excited? Because they were hearing all that they believed about government written in almost perfect form. This declaration was what almost all Americans believed. This is what they were fighting for. Almost all the people in the churches throughout the land supported the Declaration of Independence and the American Revolution. Most of the Anglican Church of England ministers did not because their ties with the Church of England, but many of the Anglican Church members did. Pastors and people in all other churches, Congregational, Presbyterian, Baptist, Dutch Reformed, and many Catholics supported the Patriot cause, and many ministers served as chaplains in the army. Many Quakers and Mennonites and Moravians did not believe in fighting, but they helped the Patriots' cause in other ways, such as caring for the wounded and providing food and clothing for those who needed. There's another story here. The Americans knew that they needed and would have to set up a whole new government to protect their freedoms. No longer were they fighting for the rights of Englishmen. They were fighting to become free and independent from England. All the world was watching to see what would happen. And that is the part of the Declaration of Independence. I think it's very good to remind ourselves and actually to probably reread the Declaration of Independence. I put it on my website. I believe I put it up there. I know I was reading it at one point. And let history speak to your heart. Let history remind you of what had happened and why. And I believe this is just a powerful testimony that they do bring God in it, that they talk about when a government has gone haywire to change it or to abolish it, to institute that new government. And that's what we did here in America, separating ourselves from the injustice that England was putting upon the colonists. And there's more history to be untold, but for right now I want you to leave with those words of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men were created equal, that they were endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know, and here we are, just a few hundred years later, and I just want to challenge you guys to know, are we united for liberty? How can we be united for liberty? We need to resist the division that's trying to disunite us from the United States of America. Resist the division over freedom, because freedom is what they fought for. And is it freedom we're standing up for and fighting for today? That's a question you need to ask yourself. But for the United States to stay united, what is our part? Blessings. And may we continue to let these things ring through our ears and pray to God Almighty for what we are supposed to be doing in this day and age. God bless you.